The median home price hit a record high in Denver last year. How do you expect this to change? And we're going to have questions for you, don't worry. And you can answer too if you want to.
We've got a real housing crisis in Colorado. I think that has as much to do with our ability to hire good people. I'll give you an example, if I may. We had a major, at least according to the Southeast Development Agency, we had a very major East Coast company that wanted to bring in about, I'm guessing between 5,000 and 8,000 people. And they originally sent out 600. And they thought, well, coming from Boston, this is no big deal. And what they found out was that the middle income range of housing that was available, at least close to where they would work, was just not there. And so the people ended up, they were going to buy something they could afford in the 350 to 400, 450, which they thought would be a real bargain. They ended up commuting and getting caught in I-25. And guess what? They had a significant number of those people leave once they got out here. Said, hey, I don't have to live this way. I like the mountains, but I don't want it. So in Colorado, yeah, the housing prices will go up and the high end will probably stabilize. I don't think that's the issue though, Brian. The issue in my mind is for the people you're bringing in from Raleigh, the folks that you're bringing in that you want to bring in the middle management and starting positions, how do they buy a home that they can afford and still live reasonably close? And go back to, since you're not in the legislature, I can, you don't have to take credit for this. You can't have the defects legislation we have down at the State House and encouragement of the lawsuits and condos. You're in the real estate business. You're going to build any condos in the 250, 350 range when you have to pay insurance rates to protect yourself against lawsuits? It doesn't happen. And we've got a real issue there, folks. And unless you as a group get involved and go down to the State House and say, hey, we've got to make this so that you can build 250 to 350 housing, we're going to have a problem with middle income people and recruiting people to come into this state and want to live here and work and fill the jobs that Kirk's talking about. So that's kind of an answer to your question, but that's the issue. But it's down at the Capitol. We've got to change some things down there.
Sure. So, I mean, I don't know where the home prices are going to go or where supply is going to go or anything like that, but I can say from my experience engaging directly with companies that are considering expanding to Colorado, sort of the two biggest challenges or obstacles that I face pitching Colorado to those companies. One is access to talent, where Colorado has a really great labor force. We're the second most highly educated population in the U.S., behind only Massachusetts in terms of the percentage of the population that has a bachelor's degree. But unemployment is so low, and companies worry about being able to attract the talent that they need in this low unemployment environment. And then the second thing is access to housing for their employees. And what I see kind of coming from different parts of the country, the housing situation in Colorado can mean different things. Like people that are relocating from the Bay Area or New York, they come out here and they think housing is dirt cheap. But we hear also like the local Coloradans who grew up, with housing being what it was, and now from the Colorado perspective, housing is sky high here. So it sort of depends on perspective, but we're very aware of the housing challenges, and it's not just in the Metro Denver area. Yesterday and today I was out in Fort Morgan and Wiggins and Sterling, and affordable housing is a major, major issue even in rural Colorado. So yeah, it's Wiggins, actually housing is doing really well. Wiggins is out on the Eastern Plains, but in places like Fort Morgan, affordable housing is a major issue. Cargill, a meat processing facility, has a big plant out there, and they're busing employees in from like Greeley and other places. I mean, when you think of companies busing people in, you think of like the Google bus in San Francisco, but this is for a meat processing facility out on the Eastern Plains. So housing is a major constraint for economic development.
I think your point is well taken. It's all about perspective. We have employees that live in Fountain or Monument that commute up to Colorado and 25 just for the housing prices. And you talk about affordable housing. We have a rather large home builder portfolio inside of Vector Bank, Colorado. I would tell you that I have not seen the housing prices plateau. They continue to go up. The whole median income or median price for residential homes is probably $550,000 to $600,000, and it continues to go up. What we are seeing are the micro units, whether it's downtown or whether it's down south, the smaller, the tiny homes that are the ones that are on wheels that you can transport around town. So I think it's really a matter of downsizing the amount of square footage that you have, and then at some point we're going to level off, but it's not anytime soon.
A huge part of getting housing started, middle income, Brian, is if you can't get it started for middle income people, guess what it contributes to? Income inequality. Because a large part of the net worth for people that are lower middle income, it's developed, 67% of their net worth is developed in the equity of their house. So if you don't make that available to them, you're just creating more income inequality. And we all, I think, hey, what can you do about it? Well, there's one thing.
Absolutely. Dan, before we came in here, you were sharing some statistics on how many companies you might be working with at any given time who may be considering Colorado, and somebody grilled you on those questions, so hopefully you remembered all of them. Not mentioning any names, Earl, but share some of those stats with us in terms of what do those companies look like and what's causing them to either choose Colorado or not.
So every month we have Economic Development Commission meeting, which is where we bring our incentive projects forward. The Economic Development Commission is kind of like our board of directors. All the commissioners are appointed by the governor and the state legislature, so they're kind of big shots in the community. And I'd say in a typical month, we bring usually around 4, 5, 6 projects in front of the Economic Development Commission for incentives. And total, those projects would probably be about an average of, 1,000 jobs per Economic Development Commission meeting. So each month it's 1,000 jobs worth of projects that we do. The main reasons that companies are looking at Colorado, number one, like I said before, is our workforce. We have a really talented workforce across a wide range of industries, really highly educated population. Quality of life in Colorado makes it easy to attract employees. If you're not able to hire locally, it's not that hard to get people to relocate here, as you experienced. Yeah, but housing does present a challenge there. The diversity of our economy is really beneficial. You kind of heard when Brian introduced me, I have a portfolio of 7 industries that I cover, and then my coworker, Max, he has another 7 industries that he covers. So between the two of us, we're always busy representing those industries in Colorado. Yeah, I think as far as stats, a question was asked to me earlier about the incentive deals that we do. Colorado is kind of middle of the pack as far as U.S. states when it comes to the incentives that we offer. Some states are really aggressive with their financial incentives. Some states don't really do anything. Colorado, we're kind of middle of the road, where we're fortunate that we have basically a great product that we're selling. Companies want to be part of this environment, and that's our goal as economic developers, is to really create an environment that companies want to be a part of, so we're not in a position where we're forced to throw money at companies to get them to come here.